Hi, teachers. This is the instruction guide for term 3, primary 2, week 3, right? For this particular week, we have 2 booklets, and they are all on the multiplication and division of 3, okay? So we've done this earlier the semester, right? In term 1 or term 2. So students, typically, they should be quite familiar with how multiplication works, but just to be sure, right, please enforce on the concept of multiplication, right, which is 2 times 3 is equivalent to 2 groups of 3, right, 3 plus 3. 5 times 3 is 5 groups of 3, right? So please reinforce this grouping, the concept of grouping, in case students have forgotten what needs to be, what multiplication is about, okay? So the other so-called area that I would like you all to also work on, right, is an explanation of this. So for example, 5 times 3, right, is 3 less than 6 times 3. In fact, the other way to look at it, right, is 5 times 3 is 1 group of 3 less than 6 times 3. Make sense? Right? Because 5 groups of 3 is 5 groups. 6 groups of 3 is 6 groups, right? So 5 groups is 1 group less than 6 group of 3. And so it's 3 less. Similarly, right, explain to them, 7 groups of 3 is 1 group of 3 more than 6 group of 3, right? So which is 3 more. Okay, so work on this so-called concept with them. Then after that, I think it's pretty straightforward, right? Get them to do a guided practice. Okay, make sure that you check their working along the way, right? To make sure that the answers are correct. Okay, at this moment, if they are not very familiar with multiplication yet, they can count, but I would, I mean, it'd be great if they can count in terms of groups, but if not, counting one by one, that is fine, right? But slowly, we want to get them to the point where they can immediately tell 3 times 7, like 7 plus 7 plus 7 equals to 21, right? Or if they already know 2 times 10, right? 2 groups of 7, right, is 14, then plus another 7, right, equals 21. Okay, so try to lead them to use a shorter way of calculating, right? If they cannot remember what is 3 times 7, then we can do it that way, right? If they are really not sure, then no choice. They have to count the strawberries one by one. Okay, so get them to do all these questions under guided practice, and right, make sure that they do all questions. So that will take a while. After that, you can pick a few questions for them to do. I think the first 2 questions are important. This is to reinforce their understanding of writing equations, right? 7 multiply 7 by 3. Okay, so in this case here, we see 3 groups of 7, right? So it's I would prefer that they write 3 times 7 instead of 7 times 3, right? Based on what it says here. Okay, but otherwise, right, it should be fine. Okay, because if you look at the image here, right, this is not 10 times 3, right? This is 3 times 10. So multiply 10 by 3, right? Although it has an idea that it's 10 times 3, right? But let's make a point that it's 3 times 10, right? But if you mark their homework, right, and they twist it around, I think that's still acceptable, right? Okay. Some of these questions are already done, right? So you may actually, during guided practice, so you may get them to perhaps do 1 or 2, right? Test them, may have a quiz, okay? Something like that, okay? Can quiz them. So quite a lot of worksheets. So I wouldn't say that you need to do all those questions. Perhaps something that is that looks different, like for example, question 5, right? Multiply 3 and complete each table. A tricycle has 3 wheels. So 2 tricycles would have, right, 2 times 3, okay, and then 6 times 3, right, and so on. Okay, so get them do a question like that. And then finally, these are questions that many students may still have problem with. Okay, so get them do question 10, right, in class, and the rest you can do it as a quiz method. Okay, maybe, yeah. So I think the rest of the questions are quite straightforward. This is input, output. Perhaps just do 1 question with them. Okay, it's fine. And this one is a bit different, right? So you might want to do 1 or 2 questions with them. Okay, why is it different? Well, especially this type here, right? 3 times which number equals to 18? Okay, so they have to, so instead of asking them what is 3 times 6, they have to think about which number, right? So may need some kind of a memorization skill here, but if not, right, if they cannot remember how to do it, then tell them, well, it's the same as 18 divided by 3. So 18, if you split up into 3 groups, how many are there in each group? Okay, all right. So get them to see that in multiplication questions, all right, in the equation, each of these number, right, is usually smaller, well, actually always smaller, right, than the output. So that maybe will help them get some idea, right? Instead of 3 times 21, they will then know that, okay, for this question, 21 split in 3 groups. Some of these questions are also a bit challenging, so maybe do one question with them, right? Perhaps 18a, right? If star times 3 equals 15, what is star? So quite a number of pages, right? I leave it up to you. A lot is practice. I don't think you need to get them to do a lot of class because there's still book 2. Okay, now let's move on to book 2. So book 2 is division question, right? Divide 6 apples into 3 groups, 3 equal groups, right? What is 6 divided by 3? Okay, so get them to understand that this is about splitting it up into groups. Okay, again, this is something that I've learned before, right? So it's not anything new. It should be fairly easy to teach them how to do this, right? So to go through the learn segment with them. After that, get them to do the guided practice. Okay. And then for independent practice, right? I think we can skip a few questions because they are quite repetitive. And instead, perhaps go to questions like, let me see. Sorry, I skipped too fast. Yeah, question, maybe just do 2A, right? Again, to understand that you can actually do fact families, right? Multiplication division facts, right? Something times 3 equals what? And then what divided by 3 is the same number. So it's like a fact family. Perhaps get them to A and B. Okay, the rest can be done as homework. And then finally, I would think that it'd be good to do, let's see. Okay, this can be used as quiz, right? Input, output, you have done it before. Family. Yeah, work on this page 24 with them. Okay, so this one always students may find it a bit challenging. Right, just get them a few questions and the rest can be done as homework. Okay, for multiplication, I would suggest that they do everything as homework because it's about practice. It's about and in a way, when they practice more, right, they'll be able to memorize as well. And that's it, right, for this week's instruction guide for primary 2.